Possibly the most reliable unit the Space Marines could field, the Redemptor Dreadnought. What role does the Redemptor Dreadnought fill? It's a midfield brawler. We'll get to how we know that a little later, but its job is to harass and absorb. The Redemptor, however, is unique for a midfield brawler, and can work as a pseudo-firing line unit. It will be charging into beatsticks, holding up units, challenging objectives, and putting devastating fire into your opponent. The deployment of the Redemptor changes depending on what you want to do with it. You're going to put it up front on the deployment line if your plan is to pressure your opponent with melee, and to charge into units. It can go mid-deployment zone if you're going to rely on shooting and bouncing between objectives where it needs to go. Now, I like reserves with the Redemptor. I don't see it often, but it's great here, because you can take great advantage of both shooting and melee, and this will apply a lot of pressure wherever you need it to go. There's a couple options of how we're going to play this when we talk about moving. One of the ways is to use this bouncing between objectives where support is needed, and using your strong fire support to clear out objectives or oncoming units. And in this way, it plays a lot like a Lehman Russ battle tank. Even a small 5-man unit of Hellblasters behind this, and a Gladiator Lancer or Ballistus, will collapse most resistance and allow you dominance on a portion of the board. Another strong strategy with the Redemptor is to combine it with a techmarine and a squad of other strong melee or shooting units, and march down the center or side to just pressure an objective you think your opponent is going to put a lot of effort into, keeping them from feeling comfortable. Now, defensively, the Redemptor is tough, one of the toughest units the Space Marines have, with a 2+ save and 12 wounds. Its toughness of 10 isn't great, but its ability, Duty Eternal, reduces incoming damage by 1. The Redemptor shuts down units that do 2 damage shooting or melee, and it loves to take fire from these, and your opponent is going to hate shooting into that. Now, obviously, that -1 damage isn't going to have a massive effect on anti-vehicle fire, but it's still going to last longer than the Brutalis, Ballistus, and your Gladiator, and will probably last longer than your squad of Blade Guard. Now, that -1 to incoming damage is how we know it's a midfield brawler, but the Redemptor, as I said before, is unique. When you attach a techmarine to it, it becomes a pseudo-firing line unit, allowing it to absorb incoming fire, push onto objectives, and fire back, giving it the versatility that used to define Space Marine units before the push to more homogenized units. And this is why the Redemptor is so loved by Space Marine players. Let's go over its weaponry. The main shooting weapon has 2 choices, but really it only has one. The Heavy Onslaught Gatling Cannon is outclassed by the Plasma Incinerator. The Heavy Gatling has dev wounds and 12 shots, a solid 6 strength, but no AP, and you're praying for a failed save and is 6 for dev wounds. The Plasma has blast, a higher strength, incredible armor penetration, and has a larger range of targets it's effective against. Now, I almost always overcharge the Plasma. You only have a 16% chance of damaging yourself, and the 3 wounds you do to yourself is often outweighed by the damage you'll do. It has the option for Icarus rocket pods, which you should take. These have anti-fly, which is nice if you want to put it into vehicles that have the fly keyword, and does 2 damage. And it's just a great bit of extra damage all around. The front of the chassis has the option between storm bolters and frag grenade launchers. If you're min-maxing at the moment, the grenade launcher is the better option. With blast, you're more likely to get more shots into the target these are effective against. But these don't do much in any situation. They are both twin link though, which is nice. The question I see most often is which weapon do you mount on the Redemptor's fist? And you can use a Gatling cannon or a heavy flamer. This Gatling cannon is weaker than the large one. It has 8 shots, 5 strength, still no AP, but it does have dev wounds. This time around though, the Gatling cannon is the better option. Now, there's nothing wrong with the flamer though, and in detachments that benefit flamer weapons, this can be the better option. The Gatling has better range, a greater number of shots, and you have a better chance to get wounds through with devs. Alright, so now we've charged, and it's your turn to fight. What do we have? The Redemptor Fist, which is a strong weapon at 5 attacks, 12 strength, -2 AP, and a solid 3 damage. This is a great weapon, and it's effective across the board. Without Twin Link like the Brutalis, it can get stuck in melee for an extra turn or two. So be aware of this if you're charging something with full health. It is a midfield brawler, so that's kind of its job. Should you take a techmarine with this? I think the techmarine works great with Redemptor. The addition of the techmarine turns this into a pseudo firing lane, like I mentioned before, allowing it to hit on 2s for all of its weapons and its melee. Healing D3 every command phase has a huge effect on this as well, especially on a unit that's already reducing damage. And I've had a lot of success keeping the Redemptor on the board for extra turns because of the healing from the techmarine. In detachments like Ironstorm, enhancements like the Adept of the Omnissiah make the Redemptor a nightmare to take down. However, this enhancement is usually better suited to something like a Repulsor Executioner or Lancer that don't have a 2+ save or the ability to reduce damage. Firestorm is great, giving this Assault, Gladius allowing it to advance, and Charge or Advance and Shoot are also great attachments to add the Redemptor to. But what's great about the Redemptor is that it's reliable, so it works in any detachment you can put it in and it will perform well.